If you are seeking a formula for freedom from anxiety and other nervous system dysregulation issues, then this video is definitely going to be for you. After trying all different sorts of other healing modalities and therapies and solutions, and only receiving maybe some assistance or sometimes not at all, maybe just a bit like a band-aid, but not really actually breaking through this issue. If you are seeking a formula for freedom from anxiety and other nervous system dysregulation issues, then this video is definitely for you. After trying all different sorts of other healing modalities and therapies and solutions, but still only receiving temporary relief, or sometimes not at all, because they're not getting to the root cause of the issue. This is what so many of my one-on-one clients and group clients are often coming to me with. So over the next few minutes here, we're going to be diving deep into 4 pillars that are actually going to provide some true solutions to this and many other issues. And if you want to go even deeper because you're really jiving with this information, then please go ahead, send me a direct message. I would love to gift you a masterclass on this and some other topics. Gift you, it's all the same. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Michael. I am a psychic intuitive energy medicine expert, and I went to school to become a doctor of bioenergetic medicine. I've also been studying for most of my life with many different masters of different traditions and lineages and modalities. And for over the past 10 years, I've been assisting many one-on-one clients to clear trauma programming and conditioning, and also step into deep soul embodiment and thriving in every area of their life. That being said, so let's go into some of these real solutions for, as I said, anxiety, nervous system dysregulation, and many other things. So I'm going to bring up a video here, because the first thing I want to illustrate is that, share screen. Of course, here we have the nervous system in the body, because anxiety and nervous system dysregulation are first and foremost electrical issues. Okay. And that's what first thing I need to convey here. So they are electrical issues, energetically speaking. And so how many of you have ever seen what happens when you try to put too much electricity through wires or a system that can't handle that amount of electricity? So we're just going to show this little clip of this little video here for a second. This is on YouTube. And so you see what happens here when you try and put too much energy through wires that just can't handle it. So the system just isn't made for that sort of energy, right? And so, I mean, it may even give you a little bit of anxiety or something just watching that happen, right? And so this is essentially what is being experienced in the central nervous system when you have anxiety, because really what's going on is an impediment of the flow of energy, right? So when you look at the nervous system here, you're seeing the hardware, right? You're seeing the hardware, which is actually the wirings, right? Over top of this, right, you have the energetic auric fields, right? You have the electromagnetic energy that's actually flowing through that nervous system, through all the cells in the body, through the DNA. And this isn't an exact image, of course. This is something that I found on the internet, because what I wanted to illustrate here is how you can see that flow, right? And you can see the different layers of energy moving through these different energy centers, right? Some people call them chakras. You could call them energy centers, because they actually connect into all these different points of energy, right? You see here the lumbar nerves, the sacral nerves, the thoracic nerves, the cervical nerves, and then you have different endocrine glands and organs in the body that connect into this energy system, right? Which we have all these layers of the auric field. So when we have a anxiety issue, right? We have that impediment that's causing that burning up and static, and the energy it's essentially energy displacement. When the energy can't flow properly through the system, then it comes out in like, feelings in the chest or the throat or the solar plexus or whatever it is. It's feeling like this kind of like what is happening, right? It's because the energy is essentially trying to go somewhere and can't. So it's like coming out in these little pockets and holes in the side and kind of squeezing through, and it's super uncomfortable, right? So what is the real cause of this, right? Well, what I call the cause of this is essentially soul embodiment, right? Soul embodiment is the process that is trying to happen, right? The energy, the more subtle aspects of who we are and our identity and who we are trying to become are that energy that's trying to flow through the system, but there is a constriction of that flow. The constriction of the flow is essentially those things that are limiting the flow of that energy, right? Which can have to do with all different sorts of things that I'm about to get into. But the quintessence of this really is that someone is not showing up as the full embodiment of their authentic self now, right? Because our process of growth in this life, evolution on a spiritual level, on the physical level too, in many ways, is a process that's always trying to continue. So if you have an aspect of you that is kind of lagging behind or holding up the rest of the flow of evolution, right? That impediment is what is creating that anxiety, generally speaking. But what that impediment is can look like all different sorts of things. So these core pillars that we're going to talk about today, right? So pillar one is clearing and neutralizing, right? So we have what's called trauma programming and conditioning. And what that impediment to that energy moving can look like are all different sorts of things. It could be, for example, when somebody was a child, they had a caretaker that every time they would try and show up in a big way, energetically speaking, and take up space and do something for themselves, or take some sort of big action, maybe their caretaker would get afraid, right? They were afraid that the child was going to hurt themselves. Maybe the caretaker was afraid that they were going to dominate them. It could be literally a billion different things, right? But if that was something that happened there was a very strong imprint at a certain age. Somebody tried to show up in a big way, out of joy, out of love, out of excitement, whatever reason they tried to show up and tried to exert themselves in their personality. If that was met with impediment and resistance, fear, shame, blame, guilt, whatever it is, then there is a constriction that will get lodged in the nervous system. That memory, that imprint, that identity will be stored somewhere, right? And then so now when we're met in life with these situations where things are trying to help us grow, we're trying to evolve into somebody new, that impediment can still be there as that memory, as that identity of fear, of shame, or whatever it is, aka resistance to the flow of energy, right? So in order to mitigate that, you actually have to go into the nervous system, into the subconscious, into the auric fields, find the root of that experience and bring love, unconditional love, acceptance to that identity, right? And actually bring it back into wholeness, right? Because that portion of the self that's essentially been displaced or cut off, right, due to the fear and that trauma that's lodged in the nervous system has to be reoriented to that child in its experience has to be brought back into wholeness and acceptance. Or it could be whatever it is, this aspect of the self. It may not even be a child. It could be actually a relationship with the parent. It could be the parent's imprint that is still there looming, that is wanting to be let go of, right? They're all different sorts of things. So what do we do? Well, when I'm working with people, we guide them into a ceremonial space. And then I start to ask them some questions about their anxiety, their challenges, whatever they have going on. And when they share, I'm presented with all different sorts of information: clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant. Sometimes I'm actually literally brought into the memory of their experience. So we guide them to that place. And then you can bring that aspect of the self back into alignment. And we can gently flow energy through the body and the nervous system to start to repattern it. And so this is pillar number 2, which is harmonize and attune. We're essentially repatterning the nervous system, the DNA, the cells, the connection to source, the bioenergetic fields. We're repatterning it to be updated, right? We're attuning you to the energy of what is best for you now. Who are you? Where are you now? What is the current, let's say, load of electricity or the identity and the lifestyle and the life that wants to come online now? We attune the nervous system to that new frequency, the new pattern, the new information, right? And then pillar number 3 is repatterning and rebirth. Because what we're essentially talking about here is we're essentially bringing in a new pattern, right? Like a little bit like the pattern at the bottom here. It's not one of my favorite geometries there personally, but it's essentially we're bringing in a unique pattern, like your thumbprint, right? You have a thumbprint. I call it your original divine organic blueprint. And this is essentially an updated operating system or identity of who you want to become now, right? You're no longer the little child that needs to be scared of their parents' fear for their life because they were going to run out in the yard and perhaps hurt themselves or something like that. Now you are an adult and you make your own decisions and you can step into these new ways of being, this new identity, this new embodiment of your soul in this new way. And you can come into being that parent for yourself, right? And connect to that new imprint. So that's what we do, is we connect you into this new highest and best version of you that has transcended those things that may be still stuck in the nervous system from previous experiences. And then finally, number 4 is integration and alignment. So as you have that identity, that new nervous system pattern that has been imprinted in the depths of your psyche and your nervous system, right? Then you need to also integrate and align that and harmonize that with everything else in your reality, your frameworks, your understanding of your life, where you are, the things you want to do. All of those integration pieces are very important as well. And I also, when I'm bringing clients through this in the 90-day soul embodiment process, we're going through all these different stages. I'm also providing you tools. I'm also providing you the information how you can start to tune into these places energetically in yourself and re-imprint, repattern, clear these things. But a lot of these things can only really be worked through when there is a witness that shows up. Somebody who has gifts, like my ability to go into and discover, go all the way to the root and clear and align those things and re-imprint those things. Because sometimes it's just what allows our nervous system to be able to relax enough to get to that imprint, right? And you can also see here why things like movement therapies and talk therapies and movements, breathing exercises, those can all be amazing tools to assist you in different layers of the process. But if that original imprint and identity impediment is still there, right, it's just going to keep coming back over and over again, right? You want to actually get out the roots. You don't want to cut down some sort of plant that grows over and over again every year. If it's not actually needed anymore, you could just take out the roots and understand why it was there and what needs to be understood, and align everything and move forward. And that's where the fifth pillar in the sense is embodiment and co-creation. Like I said, that's giving people essentially the tools and the frameworks, and actual methodology unique to you and how your system works and what's best for you in your life, in your current situation. Those things that you need to kind of start to be that full self-healer, of course, that innate healer within you that is ready to come out. So you also don't necessarily always need some sort of external assistance like myself. And so overall, these are the four pillars that anyone can utilize to start realigning this energy, repatterning their nervous system, actually clearing anxiety and nervous system dysregulation at the root, right? Rather than just mitigating the energy, actually reconstructing everything and rebirthing into someone where that energy of that new self can just flow properly. And this is the kind of gist of it. Like I said, if you would like to receive a masterclass going even deeper into some of these topics, go ahead and send me a direct message. I would love to speak to you